Scottish singer Annie Lennox has reiterated her call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. Logo search Annie Lennox repeats call for Gaza ceasefire. Annie Lennox repeats call for Gaza ceasefire. Sporting a red pin with a gold hand, she told the newspaper, "I'm very happy to share this. I'm very proud to do this. This is Artists for Peace." AFP. Short URL https://arab.news/c5pxx. Singer attends event in Washington sporting Artists for Peace pin. It is absolutely heartbreaking to see what's happening in Gaza right now. Updated 28 seconds ago. Arab News March 22, 2024 14:37 172. Follow London. Scottish singer Annie Lennox has reiterated her call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. For the latest updates, follow us on Instagram at arabnews.lifestyle. Speaking at the U.S. National Library in Washington ahead of the Gershwin Prize for Popular Song event, Lennox told The Independent that the Gaza conflict is having heartbreaking consequences for the Palestinian people. Sporting a red pin with the gold hand, she told the newspaper, "I'm very happy to share this. I'm very proud to do this. This is Artists for Peace. It's part of community of creative people, like myself and actors and musicians, who really want to see a permanent ceasefire," Lennox said of Israel's campaign in Gaza. "It's got to the point now where the whole world is looking at this with such horror. The pin is to say, a peace. Peace for everyone, just to be sensible about this. It's a complicated issue, and I know that. But, it is absolutely heartbreaking to see what's happening in Gaza right now." According to the enclave's health authorities, around 32,000 Palestinians have been killed, mostly women and children. Gaza also faces the prospect of famine due to a lack of humanitarian supplies. According to the UN, Lennox previously spoke out about the conflict while performing at a memorial concert for the late Irish singer Sinead O'Connor in February. At the end of her performance, Lennox raised her fist into the air and shouted, "Artists for ceasefire, peace in the world." Follow topics. War on Gaza. Annie Lennox related. 129 UK. Australia call for a immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza. UK. Australia call for a immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza. 969 Oil update say prices steady as Gaza ceasefire talks gain traction. Oil update say prices steady as Gaza ceasefire talks gain traction. Meet the curators of Saudi Arabia's Venice Biennial exhibition. Meet the curators of Saudi Arabia's Venice Biennial exhibition. 3 female curators will work closely with artist Manal Al-Awayan on the kingdom's national pavilion this year. Updated March 22, 2024. Rebecca Ann Proctor March 22, 2024 10-12 498, Dubai. An all-female group of curators are responsible for the National Pavilion of Saudi Arabia at the 60th Venice Biennale this year. Jessica Sarasi, Maya El Khalil, and assistant curator Shade Nal Boulay will work with artist Manal Al-Awayan on her installation for the event, which begins April 20th under the theme Straneri of Unk Foreigners Everywhere. Al-Awayan is one of Saudi Arabia's most significant contemporary artists. Her work spans the mediums of photography, sound, sculpture, and participatory practice to interrogate traditions, collective memories and the status and representation of women. Her as yet unannounced Venice Biennale work once again places emphasis on participatory elements, particularly the engagement of Saudi women. Shade Nal Boulay, courtesy of the Visual Arts Commission. Sarasi, El Khalil and Al Boulay bring a wealth of experience to the pavilion. Abu Dhabi-based Sarasi has worked with Al-Awayan before, co-curating her participatory artwork from Shattered Ruins. New life shall bloom at the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum in New York in May last year. She has worked with numerous other Gulf artists in recent years too. She also worked as the assistant curator at the Venice Biennale in 2019, and played the same role at the Sydney Biennale in 2016. Sarkozy is focused on fostering appreciation for contemporary art among new audiences. It has been wonderful to work with such a team of strong women alongside Maya and our assistant curator Shade, and then to be working with Manal is an absolute dream. Sarkozy told Arab News. We were recently in Iran for the first of her 3 participatory workshops. and it was wonderful to see how well respected she is and loved within her community there, and how excited the women were to engage through these women-only workshops. That has provided a very special insight. Manal al-Daway's 2012 work as a My Name applied. El-Khallo founded a Through Gallery, a contemporary art space in Jeddah, at a time when there were few local public art institutions. She showcased works from emerging talent and established international artists. Her curatorial practice still focuses on building bridges between the Gulf region and the rest of the world. Like Sarasiti, El-Khallo also has an existing working relationship with Al-Daway. In 2013, she curated the artist's first solo show in Saudi Arabia, A Journey of Belonging at a Through Gallery, and also collaborated with Al-Daway on the workshops leading up to her seminal 2012 work as a My Name. El-Khallo also contributed an essay to the 2023 book Manal al-Daway, Participatory Acts. For Manal, participatory practice is extremely important. El-Khallo tells Arab News. Even when the public is absent, these moments of collective making are extremely important for Manal. That feeds into that idea of the invisible or the absence. For Manal, invisibility does not necessarily mean absence. For her, having operated since before the changes that have taken place in the kingdom more recently within the context of society, what is assumed to be an absence of female voices is, for Manal, extremely present in what she calls the counterpublic. One of Manal al-Daway's participatory workshop for the Venice Biennale Commission in Al-Khobar applied. This was also very apparent to Jessica and me during the participatory sessions, because the power and the energy that is there with these various groups of women coming together is so inspiring. She continues, there's this amazing energy. There's almost, like, these collective voices that are extremely important for Manal and extremely powerful. Now, with the changes that are taking place, there's a lot to be gained, but there's also a feeling of perhaps being worried about what it might mean suddenly for women to be in the public if they are to lose the support that exists within these groups of women. What Manal calls the counter-public spaces of women. The pavilion's assistant curator Al Boulay works at the Misk Art Institute. Her curatorial practice focuses on exploring local narratives through engaging with local culture, archival materials, and traditions. A practice strongly aligned with Al-Daway's deeply rooted engagement with communities throughout Saudi Arabia. Al-Boulay participated in Saudi Arabia's first ever pavilion for the Venice Architectural Biennale with Misk in 2018. Al-Daway's 2020 work Now You See Me Now You Don't applied. Working with Manal al-Daway is a powerful and impactful endeavor. Al-Boulay told Arab News, it challenges stereotypes, empowers female artists worldwide, and contributes to the global dialogue on art and culture. It provides a platform to showcase perspectives and contributions of female artists from Saudi Arabia on an international stage like the Venice Biennale. I feel proud to be able to share Saudi Arabian artistic contributions on a global platform alongside an established artist and Macron curators. She continued, being able to represent my nation as a Saudi woman who has experienced the great investments my country has provided for my education and experiences is a privilege. Follow topics: Venice Biennale Saudi Arabia Manal al-Daway Trailblazers, Noel Mossali's journey from diplomat's daughter to pioneering Saudi painter. Trailblazers, Noel Mossali's journey from diplomat's daughter to pioneering Saudi painter, the fourth in this year's series highlighting pioneering female artists from the Arab world in honor of Women's History Month. Updated March 22, 2024. Toulouse March 22, 2024 10:02 217. Dubai. Despite being a pioneering female painter and publisher in Saudi Arabia, Noel Mossali is still little known, but she is slowly being introduced to younger generations thanks to a few initiatives, one of which is the ongoing group exhibition in Al-Ula, More Than Meets the Eye. As the daughter of a diplomat, Mossali traveled a lot in her youth, broadening her experience and knowledge. And even when she was in Saudi Arabia, Dr. Afat Farag, curator of More Than Meets the Eye, points out, because her father was an ambassador, she had the opportunity of rubbing shoulders with another kind of audience inside Saudi Arabia, says Farag. Noel has a unique personality. When she speaks, she has different accents, from Egyptian to Syrian, because she stayed in different places. Her work, too, is unique, with its own interesting sense of perspective. Since she began painting in the 1980s, Mossali has focused heavily on depicting nature, particularly plants, combined with buildings and monuments from the kingdom. Her compositions are often filled with green and brown palm trees in the foreground, with the buildings relegated to the background. One could argue that Mossali's work is environmental art, which is being widely practiced by contemporary artists. A Macron. Mossali painted views from Riyadh, Diriyah, Makkah and Medina, often portraying mosques too, including the Prophet's Mosque as well as the Kaaba. She archives Saudi Arabia's landscape through her painting. Collectively, it's like a huge canvas with all these landscapes, from north to south, east to west, Farag says. She also painted figurative imagery, depicting women's clothing from certain parts of the country, such as outfits worn by female farmers in the Isra region. A Macron. Mossali has held a number of exhibitions at home and abroad, including in Egypt, the UK, Italy and Switzerland. She has also published a book on Saudi's varied geographies, which includes her own paintings. Her work can perhaps best be described as a diary, full of snapshots of memories that inspired her. As the Syrian art historian Afif Banassi once said of her, she reached within her practice her own private world. Follow topics. Noel Mossali recipes for success. Chef Bojan Surjanic offers advice and a tasty Kurzant recipe. Recipes for success. Chef Bojan Surjanic offers advice and a tasty Kurzant recipe. Updated March 22, 2024. Shyama Krishna Kumar March 22, 2024. 9:51 171. Dubai. Serbian chef Bojan Surjanic, currently executive chef at Folly in Dubai, had some pretty prosaic reasons to be interested in cooking. I think most chefs go with something like, my grandma was an amazing chef, she inspired me, and all that, he says. Unfortunately, for me, it's not as romantic. My grandma was not a great cook, for her food was just fuel, but she was a very hard-working woman, and didn't really have time to spend on cooking. In fact, Surjanic started cooking pretty much as a necessity, he explains. I used to spend a lot of time alone at home as a kid because my parents were working. So it was always, like, oh, there's something in the fridge, put this in a microwave, or this, or that, a broken bar. I got bored of eating like this, so I started asking my mother to show me a few things I could cook myself. That's how I started. And by the time he was 15, he says, he knew he wanted to become a professional chef. Folly is in Dubai. Applied, he completed cooking school in Serbia before heading to London at the age of 19 to work at the Ritz. He went on to work at several Michelin-starred restaurants across Europe before arriving in Dubai a decade ago. Here, he discusses his favorite dish to cook, how amateur chefs can improve, and his management style. When you started out, what was a common mistake you made? A Macron. I'm trying to think of something that isn't going to sound embarrassing. When you walk into a Macron, a professional kitchen, regardless of what you may have learned before, it's a completely new experience. It's like, what's going on? Cooking is something you need to experience to feel. It's not easy to understand that when you just read about it. So yeah, there were mistakes. I once threw chicken stock in the bin because I saw the color and assumed it was just dirty kitchen water. I proudly and happily went and told my chef. Yeah, I cleaned that up. Applied. What's your top tip for amateur chefs? A Macron. Don't spend money on expensive gadgets or fancy equipment. The sort of thing we use in professional kitchens. You can buy a lot of that stuff now, and yeah, it sounds amazing. A broken bar, like, I can make ice cream at home. But you're much better off spending money on good quality ingredients rather than equipment. Equipment doesn't make good food. Good food comes from good ingredients and knowledge of what you're doing. What one ingredient can instantly improve any dish? Salt. Some people think, if I had something expensive, or considered luxurious, like a good truffle, it's gonna taste amazing. It's going to make the dish better. But it won't. Not necessarily. If you didn't get the basics right, and salt is one of the most basic ingredients, then there's a high chance you're going to ruin your dish rather than make it better. When you go out to eat, do you find yourself critiquing the food? Yeah, unfortunately I do. Not on purpose. It's just that I'll start looking at what they do differently from what I do. As chefs, I think we do have a tiny bit of an ego. I don't know. They don't teach us this in school. It just comes with comparing yourself to your peers. So, yes, I do. And naturally I want to find the mistakes. It's probably more difficult for anyone who's dining with me, because they're just listening to me complaining, rather than enjoying myself. What's your favorite cuisine? A macron. I don't really have a specific favorite. I like to try new things when I get the chance to go out, and my choice is rarely based on the cuisine. It might be some famous chef from abroad, but it might just be a casual restaurant somewhere in Dubai, which, by the way, is often amazing, because you go there with a broken bar, maybe not low expectations, but not with the same expectations as you would when you go to a fancy restaurant, and then you just find the food and the hospitality to be, like, wow. What's your go-to dish if you have to cook something quickly at home? A macron. I never really eat at home, but it's embarrassing to say, I'd just order something, which I do all the time, but if I didn't, then I'd just make cup noodles. What's your favorite dish to cook? A macron. There are a few dishes that are kind of a tradition at home for my fiancée copywritey and me, like, for New Year's or Christmas, I'll make beef Wellington. Now, that's very difficult to do even in a professional kitchen, so you can imagine what it's like at home. But I've really practiced it and it works, so I'm happy about that. What are you like as a head chef? What's your management style? I take a very transparent, very fair approach. My team understand very well what I want to achieve and what our guests are expecting, and they know what we have to deliver. I always say that I don't really care how we get there as long as we get there. If we can get there in a nice, easy way, we'll do it. But if we have to push and go the extra mile, we'll do that too. Trust is a huge part of what we do. I might come up with the dish, and it can be pretty and tasty and all of that, but if I don't have a team of people who can execute that with or without me there, then there's no point. So that trust has to be there. Chef Bojan's Folly courgette applied. For courgette mousse spiral, blanch 130 grams of finely chopped courgette in boiling, salted water for 4 or 5 minutes, until tender. Strain and blend in high-speed blender. Soak gelatin in ice-cold water for 5 minutes. Add to courgette, while it is still hot, with 20 grams mascarpone and 4 grams salt. Mix well. Place in mold of your choice and put in refrigerator for a few hours until set. For pickled courgette, cut 1 large yellow courgette into 3 mm thick long slices. Season with salt. To make the pickling liquid, bring 75 grams honey to boil. Add 120 grams of white vinegar and 2 grams salt. Mix well and leave to cool. Once cool, pour over the sliced courgette and leave for 10 minutes. Then drain and roll to the desired shape. For cheese sauce, warm 200 grams milk in a small pan. In a separate pan, melt 25 grams butter and add 25 grams all-purpose flour. Cook for 4 to 5 minutes. Then slowly add in the warm milk and keep whisking until combined. Cook for 2 minutes and then add 65 grams of chopped Tunworth cheese. Whisk slowly to melt and incorporate. Season with 5 grams salt, then strain. Keep in fridge until serving time. For cheese balls, same process as for the cheese sauce, but use 200 grams milk, 100 grams butter, 100 grams flour, 8 grams salt and 250 grams Tunworth cheese. Once cheese is added and melted, add 5 sheets of gelatin and mix properly. Allow to cool and set. Once cool enough to handle, roll into small balls, 10 to 12 grams, coat them with egg, flour and fine breadcrumbs, and place in freezer. Before serving, remove to room temperature and fry in deep pan of oil until golden. For roasted courgette, season baby green courgette with salt or in roast in oven with olive oil until you see the color start to change. Remove and allow to rest for 2 minutes. Season with crushed black pepper and lime zest. Slice into smaller pieces. When ready to serve, arrange all components as desired on plate, with cheese sauce on the bottom and all other components on the top. Top with some edible flowers, herbs and cresses. Follow topics. Bojan Serjanik Dubai restaurateur apologizes for sharing controversial pro-Israel video. Dubai restaurateur apologizes for sharing controversial pro-Israel video. Vegan restaurant chain owner Emma Sacco faced criticism after sharing video by conservative non-profit Pajaru. Clip claimed Palestinians are brainwashed to hate and desire to become suicide bombers. Updated March 21, 2024. Arab News March 21, 2024 1812 1331, London. A Dubai restaurateur issued an apology on Wednesday following backlash for sharing a controversial pro-Israel video claiming that Palestinians are brainwashed into embracing violence. The video has been produced by American non-profit Pajaru, which is known for its conservative viewpoints and which has been labeled a political propaganda machine. Emma Sacco, co-founder of the popular vegan restaurant chain Wild the Moon and organic cafe Comptower 102, posted a statement of apology on her Instagram account on Tuesday. "I am sorry for the post I reshared," she wrote. "I was standing by the fact that we must find a way towards peace, and this is the only message I have been meaning to convey. I am deeply shaken by the loss of innocent Palestinian lives," she continued, adding that as the conflict drags, it is increasingly hard to communicate and find the ways towards peace and dialogue. The video, titled My Life in Israel as an Arab Muslim, features Sophia Selma Khalifa, described by Pajaru as the first Muslim Arab to enroll in the Israeli Army's Auditor program in electrical engineering. Khalifa, now residing in the U.S., made several controversial claims in the clip, including allegations that Palestinians are brainwashed to hate and that a childhood friend expressed a desire to become a suicide bomber. The video is part of a series called Stories of Us, produced by Pajaru to promote American values and offer an alternative to what they perceive as left-wing ideology. Pajaru has faced criticism for disseminating misinformation on topics like climate change and for its denial of historical events like slavery, drawing concerns from rights groups. Sacco is not the only restaurateur to face backlash over social media posts. Over the weekend, Bahrain-based Italian-Canadian chef Suzy Massetti issued an apology after questioning on social media whether many Palestinians were starving due to Israel's restriction of aid. In a series of videos posted online, Massetti expressed deep regret for her comments, clarifying that there was no malicious intent. Similarly, New York City restaurant owner Keith McNally faced criticism in October for sharing what appeared to be a pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian post on social media. Follow topics. War on Gaza. Israel. Dubai. Social media. Vegan British cartoonist Tim Sanders celebrates Palestinian life and resistance in London exhibition. British cartoonist Tim Sanders celebrates Palestinian life and resistance in London exhibition. Illustrations were produced during Sanders' visit to the occupied West Bank last May. Cartoonist's work is an attempt to revive the practice of reportage illustration, drawing on locations on places in situ. Updated March 21, 2024. Tamarat, Turkey. March 21, 2024 1612 739, London. An art exhibition exploring the struggles and contradictions of Palestinian life has revealed the pride and resilience of a people living under occupation. British cartoonist Tim Sanders is showcasing a collection of more than 30 drawings and photographs at the Fragments of Palestine exhibition, held at P21 Gallery in London. The works were produced during Sanders' visit to the occupied West Bank last May, when he joined a UK health worker delegation as an official artist in residence. The Apartheid Wall in Bethlehem, 2023. Tim Sanders. Through sketches and images of daily life in the occupied territories, the cartoonist has documented the Palestinian struggle to live under, and confront, a brutal occupation. Sanders' work is an attempt to revive the practice of reportage illustration, drawing on locations on places in situ to capture an observed subject, much like a photojournalist would with a camera. He believes that drawing is a less intrusive way of recording people and places. In contrast with the often discomforting effect of having a camera pointed at a subject, Sanders found that locals, in seeing his sketches, generally welcomed his attention. This method requires deep introspection and a close engagement with surroundings, Sanders said, allowing him to uncover the cultural, social and political layers of a space. Hipster Settler, 2023. Tim Sanders. One illustration, titled Hipster Settler, portrays a fashionable Israeli settler who had strolled past Sanders in Jerusalem dressed in a jacket, vest and trousers, and carrying a semi-automatic rifle. The work conveys, through Sanders' unique perspective and the scene, the particular colonial arrogance exhibited by settlers. The exhibition reveals the ordinariness of Palestinian life under extraordinary circumstances. Despite living under Israeli occupation, people in the West Bank are shown persevering in their daily routines, like going to work, shopping, taking their children to school, or watching football. Soldiers and Nurses, 2023. Tim Sanders. In another piece, Soldiers and Nurses, Sanders depicts a moment during his hospital visit when Israeli troop